Hey everybody, welcome back to Jones Blue Line Pressure Washing. Today I'm talking about my trailer. We're going to talk about my equipment, my current setup right now. I'm about a month or two into the washing season, maybe a month and a half. I'm going to show you what's been working, what hasn't been working, some plans for some future videos as well. And let's just kind of talk about what's kind of going on with the trailer and the equipment. I haven't really talked about my pressure washer setup at all, and I kind of want to just do a general overview of what's been going on. If you have questions about my setup, write me a comment down below or shoot me an email. I can make future videos if you guys have want me to get more in depth whatever you see here. This is my intake line. I have 100 feet. I think it's 100 feet just garden hose right now. It's working okay. I have a feeling that I'm going to have to upgrade that real soon. I know I'm upgrading the hose reel as soon as I can. I have the money to upgrade it right now, but it's still working, and I kind of want to just keep going until maybe it breaks, and I'll replace it. I hate for it to break at a job site though, so I don't know. It's doing the job. It's a little flimsy, but it's got me going. So that here is my intake. I hooked that up to the customer's water, and then it flows through here to this fitting here. It has a hose that goes to my buffer tank. It's kind of hard to see with the ladder in a way, but I have the tan hose running all the way to an elbow, goes down into a bulkhead fitting, and then into the buffer tank with a float valve. I'm gonna drop you in here. Let me show you what I got here. So this is the float valve. This allows the water to come in and stop filling when it reaches those little dots right there, those little holes, and it keeps the water from just constantly running. What I find is that this hose wants to kind of pulse every once in a while. I don't know if it's just build up a lot of pressure. I'm assuming. I've had issues with like leaking fittings and different stuff. Like all this stuff wanted to leak at different times. I still have a slight drip here. I threw a towel under there. It's enough to bother me. It's not enough. I think it's just the plastic fittings on the hose reel that's going to be really impossible. If I had metal, I could crank it down a lot more. I'm afraid it's going to break if I tighten up anymore. So that's okay. I have the buffer tank here. It's an 80-gallon buffer tank. It comes down to a bulkhead fitting here. This is a 1-inch line. So this is a 1-inch line here. I have a ball valve here that turns off and on. This is a pretty heavy duty one. That means off, this means on. Then I have it go to a filter. I probably need to open it up and make sure there's no debris in it. It's probably getting kind of gunked up. I did, with another help of another video, I didn't put this fitting all the way to the bottom. I put it up a few inches. To keep, if there is debris. So debris does get into the tank. The water kind of looks a little yellow. You can tell on the bottom of the tank there's a little bit of dirt debris. It's nothing major. Dirt does get into the buffer tank. So what I did is I do have the filter, but I made it raised a little bit here to keep it away from the debris. I wanted it far as down as I could for the gravity. This is a shaft driven pressure washer. It's the Honda GX390, the Honda GX390. It's supposed to be a 4-gallon a minute pump on it. It's a 4-gallon a minute pump, 4,000 PSI. It came off a Mighty M pressure washer setup. I took the handle off right here. It's sitting over in my garage, and it gave me more room to move around. So I have a 1-inch line. You can tell it right here. It's like one of those flex lines, zero crush lines. I thought it was gonna give me some issues. This is all 1-inch line. I changed out the original fitting for the inlet line. Initially it had a quick connect for a garden hose on this thing. I don't know if I can find a picture or not of what it used to look like. I'll try to find a picture. So I did some rigging up here. I changed up the pump a lot. This type of pressure washer, when you're using it, when you let go of the pressure washer, when you're not using the pressure washer and you let go, that pressure goes somewhere. It usually circulates back into the pump, and it stays in the pump and it circulates. What happens is it keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter. The water, eventually it wants to blow a release if you get too hot, and this thing has to be replaced when that happens. So what a lot of people do is they put a bypass hose or a relief hose. Usually you have to buy a whole new regulator part where this is where the pressure washer comes out of here, the pressure line. Typically you have to buy a new one that has some type of hose that can take the water away from the pump, so you always have fresh cold water coming in. What I did, this part of the pressure washer has a valve that comes to the bottom, which initially shot back into the pump, went back into the pump. It's hard to explain, but when I took off the inlet piece, this valve was just open. What I did was I put a garden hose on this, crimped it down. This has some pretty good pressure coming out of this, and the hose runs underneath the pressure washer, comes up here, goes into a T bulkhead fitting, and gets sprayed into the buffer tank. You do not want your buffer, your bypass, your relief valve hose spraying directly down toward your inlet intake for the pressure washer. You want to spray that kind of across the buffer tank so you don't have any cavitation or bubbles toward the inlet, if this makes any sense. I did have some issues when I first set it up. I hooked up the line. I did not have this contraption here that I made, and when I tried to run the pressure washer, it put out no pressure at all. It was just kind of like leaking out of the hose. It was something was wrong, so I did not run the pressure washer very long like that. I think I researched and found out that there might be error in the line or air in the pump that could really cause some damage to your pump, so be careful to not allow air to run in there. What I did is I built this 1-inch barb fitting on each side. I cut the hose in half, put the barb fitting on here. I made like a 3/4 inch line or 1/2 inch line, put a ball valve there, and ran a hose, which I'm eventually gonna put, I'm gonna drill a hole and put it through the bottom of the trailer. But right now I just run it outside the trailer, kind of tuck it right here between the gate. And what I do is when I turn my water on to the pressure washer, which is on right now, water is funneling through that line, so when the water raises, it causes a lot more pressure by gravity, pushes the water in here. When this valve is on, I don't know if it's going to do anything right now. It doesn't have any pressure, but when I get a steady stream of water coming out of this line, I know there's no air in the pressure washing line. So what I do is steady stream coming on, I turn off the ball valve, and then I know there's a solid stream of water coming through the pump. And I haven't had any issues since I've done that with a shaft-driven pump pressure washer that does not pull water. I'm using a gravity-fed 1-inch line from a 80-gallon buffer tank, and what really changed the difference for me was this bleeder valve that I built. This right here took a lot of research. There's only a few places that actually carry a 1-inch barb to, I believe, a 1/2 inch fitting, one down to a 1/2 inch, and then this here. So I found one video on YouTube that talked about using your existing pump, taking it apart, and then having the return line, which is the pressure side line, put a slide garden hose on there. I think this is 5/8 line that fits right on top, and then I crimped it down with a hose clamp, and then everything else, I need to probably spray this with some WD-40. It's been great ever since. I did have some issues with my pressure washer. It was like cavitating. I think I have a video. It was like pulsing. My pressure governor or my throttle governor was revving, vroom, 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 constantly, and it would eventually, I'll be pressure washing, and the whole machine would just turn off. It wouldn't work at all. It would just stop working, and it would do that throughout the entire job, and it would make it super frustrating. I would come back, I would fire it back on, and it was like someone was turning my switch off, my kill switch. I ended up replacing the carburetor, which I have a video for. I'll show you. I'll go post that soon. First, replace the carburetor, the air filter. I replaced the fuel filter in the bottom of the gas tank, and I believe the fuel filter was the issue because I had some problem with the fuel draining out of the existing line, and when I replaced the fuel filter on there, put the new gas line on, the gas that was remaining here was just flowing out, made a big mess. I believe that if you're having issues like that, I'll have a video for you guys soon for that. It's been great ever since. I've been doing a lot of residential jobs with this. It's been a lot of fun so far. There's been some ups and downs. I made a video on the struggles of pressure washing. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. That's just kind of talking about just dealing with customers and communication. I've learned a lot about communication, stuff like that. But this video is getting kind of long. If you saw something in here that you want me to talk about further, let me know in a comment below. I'm almost out of battery. Appreciate you guys watching. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.